Thank you. Mr. Schansberg.
I don't think I've ever been called fancy before, but I appreciate that. This is straight Econ 100, and if you increase the price of something, people don't want to buy as much of it. I mean, it's not like we're making the workers more attractive to firms. The good news, if you keep your job, is you got a higher wage. The bad news is we've just made you more expensive to hire, and so you're less likely to be hired. It's that pesky demand curve that people talk about in E100. The thing about the minimum wage, one thing to say is it's poorly targeted. I mean, our goal when we think about increasing the minimum wage are the kind of people Barron has in mind, but that's really a very small percentage of those who earn the minimum wage. It includes the 17-year-old burger flipper. Well, who cares if they're making $5.25 or $7.25 an hour? That's not the target. The target is people who are heading up households, and as such, the minimum wage is a poorly targeted policy. Much better targeted, and without the labor demand problems, are policy changes like payroll taxes that I'll talk about later this evening. Why are we taxing people at the poverty line? They lose more than $3,000 to payroll taxes. If you want to help poor people and heads of households, quit taking their money. 17 states have income taxes that they impose on people at the poverty line, including Indiana and Kentucky. Kentucky actually is number one in the country in that. It's good to see them number one in something. And you could also break out the earned income tax credit is another way to help the working poor. The fourth thing is, I agree with Mike that if you're going to have this is a classic example of it's not a federal thing, it's a state thing. Why do we want a federal minimum wage? Let the state and locals take care of this issue. The other thing is to index it to the minimum wage, to inflation, as Jim had asked. Frankly, Republicans have been stupid on this. They've let Democrats beat them up with this issue. If it were me, the public likes the minimum wage. It's going to take a long time to persuade them otherwise. Tie it to inflation, and then the Democrats can't beat you up with it anymore. And then we don't have to talk about this silly issue anymore. The bottom line is there's much better ways to help the poor. That's the bottom line here. It's not a silly issue because there are better ways to help the poor. We need to focus on primary, not secondary issues.
Thank you.